Human freedom is our ability to do what we want to do. Historically, theologians in the Christian tradition have talked about two different kinds of freedom. I won't use the technical Latin terminology, but basically one view of freedom says basically that you are able to make the choices that you make with absolute indifference. That is, there is no external enticement or control on you that is predisposing you to one or the other of the choices that are before you. That your choosing is utterly indifferent. It's entirely internally driven without any external effect on it. Now, those of us who believe in the doctrines of grace and the sovereignty of God actually don't believe that kind of freedom exists, because we live in an interconnected world. When you choose to turn your television from one channel to the next, there are literally hundreds and maybe even thousands of factors that are impinging upon you in making that choice. There may be a program that you really like on the other channel that is moving you to change the channel. So there are many theologians that try and say that a person is not free unless they are entirely apart from the coercion or control of any force outside of themselves. And I don't believe that there are any choices like that. I think all of our choices come in a network, a web of community and relationship to everything else in the world. And so our desires themselves are deeply influenced by the context in which we find ourselves. So I don't think that kind of freedom or liberty exists. But what I do believe, and I believe the Bible makes this clear, is that we do have the freedom to do what we want to do. Now the problem is, what do we want to do? Because I think that all of our actions are ultimately rooted in our deepest desires. And the Bible tells us that our deepest desires, apart from Christ, apart from grace, are set on the wrong thing. And that means that everything we do, even if the thing that we're getting ready to do is good in and of itself, is evil because our motive is not right, our desire is not right, our goal is not right, our standard is not right, our end is not right, the dynamic of how we're doing it is not right. And that's the problem that confronts humanity in its freedom. It may be free to do what it wants to do, but it's not free to do what it ought to do, what it needs to do, what God made it to do, apart from God's intervening grace. And it's only when God reaches in by grace and changes our desires so that we want Him, we want Christ, we want what is best, we want what is greatest, we seek our satisfaction in what God meant us to be satisfied in. Only then do we reach the kind of true freedom that the Bible envisages for all the sons of God. And that is a freedom not only to choose what we want to choose, but it is a freedom to choose as God would have us to choose for His glory and our good.